Hi, Annika. Welcome to BizTalk. That's my great pleasure having you with me today. How are you?
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I'm honored to be on your show.
The pleasure, the honor is mine. So let's start talking a little bit about your background, who you are, what you've done so far.
Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I've been in non-venture backed startups. Also been employed as a managing director in several media companies with foreign owners. So I've been running the Swedish divisions, both traditional media and internet media. And I also have from my family a long time TV and film background. So I got into the industry, I think at age 3 or something like that. And then been in and out. But internet has been my passion, I would say, since probably senior high or something like that.
Great. I mean, let's talk about your venture. So we go straight to the topic, to the main topic.
Straight to the main topic. Yeah, so Dramatify is a take, or like many industries, film, TV, professional video, TV commercial production, and corporate video has been stuck actually in a mode from the late 90s. It hasn't really gone further. So what we are doing is a SaaS digital production flow or ERP platform for the entire digital flow. And we like to joke a bit, like the Jurassic Park films came out in the 90s, the first one in 1994, I think, and the later second one in 2000. And the industry is quite stuck there still with Excel spreadsheets, old box software from the early 90s, PDFs, handcrafted reports. And it's a 500 billion industry a year. And they still are working in this very old-fashioned way behind the scenes. In front of the scenes, and when it comes to the creative solutions, that's a totally different manner, and they can make dinosaur come alive and dragons, and we talk about new VRs and new experiences. But when you look at behind the scenes, it's still super slow, very handcrafted, and that is what we are addressing. And the reason is also because the commissioners and the investors today demand faster productions to lesser money. So do more, but faster. And there's no transparency, no overview, there's little integrations, and that means high risk and slow workflows and late to market. So we say, don't be a dinosaur. And why do we come out with this solution now? We have actually been working with this solution for quite some time. We have been bootstrapping, but working with the market and with the industry. But if we look right now, the simple truth is that the teams want mobile tools. We use mobile everywhere else, and they want their information when they need it in their hands. You also have the pandemic. So the pandemic gave us a lot of new business because people simply couldn't go to the studio, they couldn't go to the office, and they needed things right now in a cloud tool where they could collaborate from home. The industry also want to automate the information flows, just like any other industry. And this has to do with, for instance, you can go from script through the pre-production and the production, and for instance, get it automatically to a teleprompter, or you want to archive it, or you need to get it to distribution solutions on the web, for instance. Today, all that is handcrafted. We actually have a client who employs 80 people on full time just for archiving. So there's huge gains to be made by automatization. We have a lot of deal flows in the market today, and actually we have seen Amazon buying studios, we have seen other big flows, and we have an investment pace today which is on the same level about as the oil industry with $100 million US dollars a year. And finally, we'll see new areas where we haven't seen entertainment before, and that is underserved communities getting high-speed internet. We see new applications like scripted VR, and of course we see self-driving cars, where we have a huge entertainment potential as you are going into your to your job or wherever you going. What our solution do is basically moving everything that today are in Excel, in single user software, in various apps for various roles in the team, and moving onto one platform. And that means that we can actually scale it and integrate everyone. So you don't have to do work once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. You don't have to sit handcraft reports like people are doing today. People who are working in production manager and coordination roles can actually go home and don't spend basically 4 hours a day sleeping and the rest up on the set. We can also push things live straight from the web, which I think we're the only ones who can do currently. So there's a lot of innovation, and we save tons of time and lower the risk per production. The opportunity is actually addressable market of 7.8 billion, which is largely untapped, because today we have separate small apps and there's no market leader, and there is little brand leadership on the entire market. But when we see who are investment, just the top 5 content investors this year is investing almost $100 billion this year. So we are up there with the oil industry when it concerns investment. And this is of course just the American numbers, and when you add all the rest of the world, we're getting up probably around twice as much, but there's very shaky statistics, so we don't want to talk about that. The trend, however, according to Wells Fargo, is at least a 28% increase in the next 3 years. And when we start to benchmark evaluation growth, we can see that similar companies have a very healthy evaluation when we compare a share of addressable market and their market cap today. Upland, for instance, who do B2B SaaS workflows, they don't even have an income, and they still invest more valued at $1.1 billion US dollars. Avid is an industry company doing hardware and broadcasting software, and they have an valuation at 1.3. So we see a very healthy growth when it comes to the valuation of the company forwards. So why do we think that we are better than anybody else? Well, the simple secret is one tool, and that is expressly what the industry is asking for. They want one simple tool with everything in it, and where everyone in the team can work. And this comes back again and again and again, and everyone has problems with moving from one tool to another. And today the competitive market is everything from generic platforms like Google Drive and Dropbox to various very specialized smaller apps for makeup artists and scheduling and budgeting, and everything is up in the air. So one flow to create an efficient business and production process. And we have fantastic feedback from our users. And I think one to highlight is that here in Stockholm, in Sweden, our current public broadcasters, they actually have 250 systems in the company. None addresses the needs of the creative who actually create the content, and until they started with Dramatify. And another public broadcasters in Finland, they say basically we streamline all their productions and everything for everyone is in your mobile in real time. And everyone just loves it. And this is what we run on right now. That's a fantastic user feedback. But we have also gotten recognition from the industry and been called by MIP TV, which is one of the biggest content markets in the world, that we are one of the most innovative startups within television and video technology. And last week we got shortlisted as the TV transformer of 2021 by the UK industry. So we'll see how that goes next week when the final is. Our business model is as a classic SaaS business model with recurring subscription, both from small companies, just a team of 3-4 people that pay per month, as well as yearly subscriptions, yearly contract fees from large broadcasters. And everyone can adapt Dramatify to their liking. And one of the hindrance today, of course, when you go up and you talk about the big enterprises, is that they need to have the traditional functionality basically bolted in the studio. With Dramatify, they can just try it out. They can themselves start using it for 1 production, 5 productions, or whatever they like, to a low cost, and then go in harder as they go, which is a much easier way to sell it in. We also have different tiers for payment, simply based on the fact that here in Western Europe and the US and Canada, people have bigger budgets, whereas in India and Africa, for example, the budget is far, far lower, and we want to get and support the industry in those countries as well. We also have part of our business model is paid industry development, and that is basically non-equity financing. So we get development money straight from the industry and build feature that we then roll into the platform and allow everyone to use, and they pay again for it. And the third is coming features with, for instance, crew and cast booking and payroll, which is a stated demand from the market and the industry, and that is on track to be launched in 2024. So we see a big, strong need for this. We basically, every week, we hear new clients who want to have new features. So our go-to-market strategy is to scale the current presence to make Dramatify the brand leader and natural choice. We will hire in after this race a number of key developers, sales reps, and to make it to the next step. And we will launch sales in London, Hamburg, Los Angeles, Singapore, and Mexico City, which we identified as key markets to go forward. And what these developers will work with is primarily to create the first 50% of the new finance and budgeting platform. Currently, our traction is that we have millions of people watching productions made with Dramatify each week. It's everything from entertainment and galas, drama, comedy. We dipped our toes into sports, and right now we are building for the Beijing Olympics, broadcaster features, and also talk shows and non-fiction, church TV, cultural programs, a lot of music, opera, popular music, concerts, and so on. We work currently with three pilot broadcasters in the Nordics and Vietnam. And we have a good inflow of signups as well as about plus 5,000 professional users in the system. We're looking for $1.5 million as a seed investment to scale the organization and build sales and the features that industry is requesting weekly. And simply the first part is, of course, hiring and then ramping up our advertising and marketing, which is already in place, but we need more capital to really raise the bar. And then the next phase is that we start with a local sales operation and build the first part, and then later around the summer we start to launch our A round and finish the second part of the financial platform in August, September, as well as language versions for the Latin American market. And then in about a year, we close the A round and launch the third part of the financial platform and expand with that raise. We also expand the team with a number of critical features. And most of this the majority of the first launch will go to slightly more product development, but we also have sales, of course, and also build the organization in general to fuel all this hiring and marketing. We have a simple cap table, so there's no red flags for investment. Our 2022 goals is 10 new team members and establishing sales reps in 5 regions. We look at 90 professional new customers and to launch 50% of the finance platform that is necessary to go to the next level, as well as 2 to 3 new language versions. And those are especially Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese. We look at the liquidity event in about 4 to 6 years, where we look at either going on the Nasdaq or some of the smaller markets around Nasdaq, or a private liquidity event where we have a lot of activity in the sector right now, from big acquisition from Amazon, for instance, but also a lot of private equity events. We have a very senior team when it comes to our main team. My co-founder, Angelica Stegenberg, she's a leader of tech teams, extremely experienced, and have basically built the current platform herself. We also have 3 industry angels, including 1 Oscar-nominated director. Or producer, sorry, as well as advisors from UK, Denmark, Sweden, as well, and also a new one in Vancouver, which is not on this slide. And we also have a team standing by for investments with very experienced developers, which means that we don't have to have so many. We just get the very good developers instead, who has also worked together before. We have experienced head of sales in London and a content drama wizard standing by for that as well. And to wrap it up, we're currently building broadcaster features for the 2022 Beijing Olympics, paid for by one of our clients. And those can be used for any kind of TV, video, and sports features. So we're going quite hard in for sports, as that is a very growing sector, both for regular broadcast as well as live streaming on their own platform. So thank you.
Thank you, Annika. You've been extremely precise and covering almost everything, so it would be very difficult for me asking anything more, but I can still ask something. So
absolutely.
You have you have created this platform for the back end of the movie and television industry, okay? So from watching TV or movie, everything is beautiful, but I agree, behind is still old-fashioned way to do everything, which is, I don't know, for who is not well aware, that's an extremely complex industry, extremely complex. Many people working together, the flow is fragmented, it has so complicated, right?
And I think a lot of people, rightly so, is comparing it to the construction industry, because you have the same kind of setup. You have companies that suddenly blooms up and do a few projects. You have a lot of freelancers going from company to company, and just like you have in construction, when a small company, they might just be one or two people, they get a big contract, and then they hire all these subcontractors and sort of do the production management of the construction. Same thing in the TV and film and video industry.
That's my question. If I'm a small producer, probably I don't have so many people working with me or for me, and let's say I got a very big contract, okay, producing, I don't know, 10 movies, maybe, or 5 movies. Can I hire people on your platform? Can I use your platform to have freelancer which I can trust?
Yeah, currently you can't hire people through the platform, but that is about to change. What you can do right now is that you can work with your freelancers and your production investors on the platform from the idea or the script and through the production process, and involve everyone regardless of their sort of employment status. We also have big customers like broadcasters who suddenly don't need to let everyone in on their own networks, which often can be under sort of national security regulations, and they can collaborate and do the work on Dramatify instead. So we become basically a filter between their networks and their freelance staff. A freelancer, of course, don't pay anything to be on the platform as long as they're invited by a production. And they can also work for different productions and producers and production companies within the same period. So they get a tool where they can, let's say they're working with one drama production and a number of commercials. They can work as a, let's say, a wardrobe designer or makeup artist or something. They can see all the productions in one place and know exactly what is happening in the different productions.
So if I am a movie industry player, have 4 movies, I can open 4 tasks and work for each one with my team, okay? So I can diversify and control everything and inviting in each of them the relevant people, okay?
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work with Netflix, you can work with Disney, you can work with a very small one, right?
Yeah.
What's the approach? How do you approach this big guy and the very small one?
The small ones, we usually have outreach through social media. They may find us on through Google search and search and sign up for a newsletter, for instance. And then when the time is right, they sign up. We might also find them through more targeted outreach through industry markets. You have MIPCOM, you have ATF in Singapore, you have different film markets and so on. The big players we usually find either through contacts and direct approach, or big markets like IBC, the International Broadcasting Convention, which it's in Amsterdam in December this year. So it's different approaches depending on which kind of player it is. That said, very often Netflix, Disney, all those big players are not actually the producer. They commission productions. So it's usually that production company, which might be a very much smaller entity, are getting the job of producing the content, and it's often they who have the original idea, unless it's a franchise. And they come with the idea to, let's say, Netflix, and say, we want you to consider this idea. And if they get that project, Netflix will then release funds as they go through the production process.
So Netflix can use your platform to facilitate the job of the, let's say, content writers, or anyway, script writers, and where they, okay.
Yeah. But I would say that currently, at least, is quite unusual. It's more usual that smaller production company locally or in the US are signing up, and they produce for Netflix, let's say, or HBO or somewhere, a broadcaster.
Okay, I mean, this question is natural for me. Now you're working on the back end. Are you planning to move to the streaming one day?
We actually basically have streaming to some extent. I mean, we don't do the streaming, but we have live playout solutions for streaming and broadcasting. So that will get stronger as we go. So you can do live broadcast today from Dramatify, but the stream itself comes from a studio or wherever you start using it. Okay.
I mean, when it comes to pricing, how do you price? I mean, I saw your pricing list, but if I'm a big company, do I get any discount if I have 4, 10, 20 production, or I'm still paying the same?
Yeah, we actually have unlimited productions. We calculate on how many people are putting in content, so in some way, whereas the people who are just consuming content, which is most of the cast and crew, are free. So it depends on how many people actually works in the platform. And then if you do, one production or 1,000, we don't really care about, because when you do more and more production, the number of people working in the platform also grows. So currently we have a self-service up to 100 admins and creatives, and as well as lower, and also to some extent different feature sets for the higher. So you get a full feature set for the higher plans.
Okay, you're based in Sweden, yeah?
Yes.
So what's going to be your main market? I suppose US, but it's not that, I mean, everyone has a different approach. So you're going to move straight to the US with this round, or maybe you move more in the EU, UK, and after to the US, which is very competitive.
Yeah, our market situation, currently we have companies in Australia, Asia, Vietnam, UK, Nordics, and we go more and look at where we can get fast adoption. The US industry is to some extent quite conservative, so we will do place one sales office in Los Angeles, of course, but we will also look at Latin America and Asia, where we see we can have a faster adoption on a large scale than the US.
I mean, may I ask, if I had to think myself, maybe newcomers, which are not the US, because the US absolutely are the number one today, they don't have such an established way to do movie. Okay, so if I'm approaching a new, let's say I'm in Latin America, I mean, I'm not US anymore, of course, but it's because I'm approaching now the media in a more, let's say, strong way. For me, it's easier to adopt your value proposition than if I'm American and have been doing this for the last 100 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we also see that I would say non-US and to a certain extent non-continental Europe market has a much greater taste for new technology, to do things in a new way, to do new things in a faster way. and also often has much higher budget constraints, so they need to work smarter, they need to do more for the same budget, and there we can definitely help them.
I mean, do you have done any exercise? If I'm coming using your platform, how much can I save?
Depends so much on what kind of production it is actually, but we usually calculate that for a sort of medium size European drama production, you should be able to save at least 3 full-time staff.
Oh, that's a big number.
Yep.
I think we've been covering not everything. It's not going to be possible, but enough. So let me close with a message to investors, okay? So why they should invest in your Dramatify?
Because this is a virgin market. We have $7.8 billion basically untapped market. The current market players are either very, very old and very unflexible. And we hear from broadcasters that even broadcasters, they is basically, you know, talk to the hand. They're not interested in talking to customers. This kind of old sort of mindset, as well as it's so fragmented. So right now we have an opportunity to basically take a global market, and that's a very nice proposition to be in. Since we can generate with a SaaS platform an enormous gross profit margin, it's basically a money press.
Annika, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Talk. It's been very, very good pleasure having you today. I hope we can have another talk later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for letting me on.